And three, two, one. Hey everyone, welcome to the Retro Horror Special where I am your host, Callan Hale, and I am with a special guest today. We got CC with us, who, as you know, makes some amazing, just perfectly amazing D&D content.
My
So,
goodness.
CC, how about you introduce yourself, friend?
Well, howdy there, everyone. I'm Cece. You can find me at cc dot dot on Twitter, and I am an indie dev and 5e homebrew maker behind such titles as the DMPCisdead.com that you can find at, well, the DMPCisdead.com. And the critique on necromancy, a exploration of what necromancy can be if you apply it to all dead biomatter. Oh, goodness.
There we go. Which I find just amazing. If you guys haven't checked it out, if you folks haven't checked it out, you really should. I know we talked about it a bit on Twitter, CC, and I am just in love with it
Goodness.
because it it takes necromancy to a whole new level. I shared it with a few of my players, told them to check it out. And one of my players was like, "Am I allowed to do this?" Like,
Indeedy. Well, it really explores something that I enjoy a lot and that I've done a lot through my DMing years, which is that worlds evolve. And so, as a world in which necromancy exists, it will be a world that will eventually confront such realities as microbiology and certain aspects of anatomy that tell us such things as there's a dead layer of skin on the surface of our body. And what does that mean for necromancy? As necromancy is in its presentation in D&D and a lot of media, it is very focused on the reanimation of humanoid corpses. But if this magic exists that puts life back into dead beings, there's no reason that it would not apply to a broad swath of dead biomatter. And as the world learns more and more about biology, their knowledge of necromancy would likely evolve as well.
and that's what I loved about it. I was telling Gemma, I was like, I love this, and Gemma and I got talking about it. She's like, there are plans to do this because she's a has her PhD in both. Uh, my brain is blanking on what it's called.
Isn't she
Plants
botany?
and bugs, botany and
Entomology.
entomology.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so like we got talking about it this morning before she went to the office, and like I love this. Why
One
don't
of the one of the spells is actually thanks to her. I chatted with her about the concept on Discord at one time. She introduced something called the Rose of Jericho to me, which is a very interesting species that looks like a shriveled up old plant, but will just reemerge into a beautiful sort of succulent very easily. And that's like that right there is an undead plant that this new form of necromancy would be very interested in creating.
that's what I that is one of the many reasons I love her. Like I studied botany for a little bit, but
Hmm.
I noticed we had plants in Nebraska that we had in PA that weren't native to Nebraska,
Hmm.
and we got discussing it. Like, why aren't they native here? And I was like, what's strange is we have a type of um, tulip.
Hmm.
It's a split vein tulip where
Hmm.
the petals split in half. And I was like, oh, that's a split vein tulip. I used to grow those in Pennsylvania. Why is it Nebraska?
All right.
Then found out one of our neighbors actually cultivates them because they grew them, but they didn't realize they're an invasive species.
Uh-oh.
And they'll
Plant.
kill other tulips.
All right.
we got talking about that one night for like 9 hours on invasive species versus non-invasive species. And like, this is why I love you.
Gotta love the people that just enrich your mental playground.
Like, I loved your necromancer class you made because it takes on that idea of why are we just doing undead?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't we doing everything?
Mm-hmm.
And actually took some inspiration from that in one of my I was writing a um one shot for someone that was
Yeah.
just sent to them my newest I got a gig writing a supplement for someone, and I took inspiration of your necromancy class. I was like, what if they're not undead? What if it's just they're brought back to life because their skin was brought back to life?
Just their skin, right? Oh my. Yeah, that's actually something that really, really exemplifies my approach to necromancy is the by parts reanimation uh, of different pieces of biomatter. It's supposed to be a little bit of a spooker when you think of necromancy as it is presented in D&D and many forms of media. It does maintain a certain body integrity as you raise the dead. They remain a full functioned humanoid. But the magic doesn't necessarily need to maintain that if you think about it. Parts can be animated on their own, leading to rather horrifying and rather conditionally useful ways of utilizing necromancy in sudden violent bursts. A lot of the spells are about not raising corpses, but utilizing a part of a corpse in an instant as a weapon.
One of my players, when I sent him to your link uh earlier this morning, was like, so this means I can make Thing from the Adams family?
Yep, you could make a hand. You could animate a leg. You know what? You could basically trim your beard and then animate the beard clippings.
I I I made the joke, was like, you could have a one-legged man ass kicking contest.
You certainly could. Ah,
He's like,
oh goodness,
his response to me, I am now going to animate just legs.
just legs. Yeah, you'll have Mrs. Bellum from the Powerpuff Girls.
And I was like, oh, I didn't think about. Wow, that is a callback.
Hey, it certainly is.
It's like, I will let you animate just legs, but I have to bring this to
Mhm.
my interview later. It's like, wait,
Oh
you're
my.
interviewing the guy who made this? Yes.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Just hearing that you're talking to your friends about me, it is tickling me to the core.
He is
Um,
he is a huge fan of yours. And he's like,
Fantastic.
can I listen to it later? It's like, oh, right after we're done, it's going live. It's like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
but you're interviewing this person who I've been following on Twitter for a long time, who makes awesome stuff. How do you do this? Like, we're in a Discord together and we got chatting.
Oh, yeah. Any talk about what I'm doing, what you're doing should make a mention to Hope for TTRPG. Just a wonderful collection of individuals that are approaching this content creation and getting their stuff out there. Anyone who's trying to make any broaches into content creation should definitely be checking out this Discord server.
Like, hopes is so many. Like, I followed you on Twitter and I wouldn't have known how awesome a person you are for Hope. Like, I saw just your content creation for the longest
Hmm.
time. And then we got talking in Hopes and we became friends because we got talking about just stuff in life.
Yeah. You know, it's very important that there are central nexuses for individuals engaging in a certain art. If you would like to call it art, I will be so devious as to do so, to talk to each other. Because, I don't know, I kind of find that sustaining my ability to create content, artistic representations in D&D, rely a lot on the presence of others doing the same, giving me the knowledge that they've got, having the humility to hear what I might have to say.
But and also with hopes, we have people who don't just do D&D.
Oh no, you don't. You got all the TTRPGs.
Like Wizard
Hmm.
does systemless generations. We got Saul who his focus is let's build each other up.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's so many great people there.
Hmm. A community benefits when it's got people functioning at just about every level of creation, from the stuff that goes onto the page to the just the useful and necessary invigoration of life that can help you get up on your feet every day.
Yeah, I mean, I was having a low period, and you're one of the folks who reminded me, hey, you saw Mark and Matthew were like, you need to take some time for you.
Hmm.
You're gonna burn out if you don't. And I was thankful that people reminded me, hey, Callan, stop, take time for you.
Hmm. I find that as I have emerged into a creative, one of the most important things that have lended to success is establishing a very good work rest cycle. Uh, just going through the process of creating and after creating, taking the moment to recuperate. When you think about growing up, be you a kid or what, you play, you exert yourself, and then you sit down, you rest, and you have yourself a meal. The process of creating requires you to take in nutrients. Same goes for the creative arts. You need to create.
Exactly.
You create, and then you need to take in the nutrients that'll allow you to create again.
Yeah, if you don't rest, like Alex from Bards and Brews and I talked about, you're gonna burn out. But
Mhm.
like you create so many awesome things, CC. It's just I've looked them on. I'm like, I want all of these in my game. But
Oh,
there's so much. I'm like, ah, I would burn out my players, including all of them. But then I tell my players about them, and they're just like, "Can we include this? Can we include this? Can we include this? Can we include this?" I'm like, I am
yep.
one GM. Why don't you work out
Well,
running a game?
right. Oh man, bring in too much homebrew, and it starts to look a little bit too much like good old 3.5, where there are so many conditionals and possibilities out there that you're just continuously finding yourself confronting stuff you don't know how to respond to as a DM. You need to bring in some stuff. You need to invigorate those mental playgrounds, but
you don't want to
similarly,
you don't want to burn
yeah.
yourself out though, because
Right.
I'm sure you understand as a GM, you can
Mm.
burn out real easy if people bring in too much stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of the same idea applied to the in-game scenario. You bring in your resources, you create with them, but after you do create, you kind of need to, even in-game, have these rest cycles where you stick to the familiar, where you bring in the nutrients that playing in your familiar territory gives you, before you bring something new in as well.
Exactly. You can't keep bringing in new until you recover a bit from the last new. And
Oh, definitely.
like,
Creation is a process that requires bringing in resources and exerting yourself, and you should be very happy with the outcome. What needs to happen is that you don't need to continuously bring in resources and create before you've had that moment to recuperate within the world that you have created. D&D games are like a field. You grow your crops and then you get to eat them.
I love that analogy
Mm-hmm.
because that is absolutely perfect. Because that is how a game is.
Mm-hmm.
Not just D&D, but any TTRPG. It's growing. It's not static.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of newer GMs are like, I have to have this static game. Why? Like, I'm sure, I'm assuming your game, if you run a home game, it's not
Yep.
static. It's growing.
It's growing, yes.
It's not just, oh, we're doing this because we're doing it. It's why are we doing X to get to Y?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my gaming does have a cycle of introducing resources, be they game elements, story elements, working with them, which is, going through a dungeon, beating up a BBEG, saving a prince or princess or 12, and then resting. Uh, Enjoying the splendor of having brought in resources, sown your crops, and had them flourish.
Uh, Gemma is at work. She DM'd me and wanted me to tell you hi.
Hey,
She's like, you're recording. Tell CC I said hi.
hey, Gemma, how's it going?
She's got a lot of meetings today. I don't miss those. I really don't.
Not either.
Someone went full time content creator and got a giveaway this weekend coming up, but I have
Yep.
not checked on my printer yet to make sure the dice is making a dice box, actually, a D20. I didn't like the first rendition. I didn't feel it was accessible. Me, this dice box does not feel accessible. I'm going to remake the whole damn thing.
If the first iteration isn't quite what you need it, and you still have resources available to you, got to keep on working.
The numbers were too depressed. I was like, what if someone's low vision, like I am, without my glasses? I have bifocals, and I'm only 33. Like, what if they can't see the numbers?
It's a question that needs to be answered.
No, that's not okay. I'm going to make these numbers bigger and extended so they can feel it. And Jim looked at me.
Lovely.
Why didn't you do that the first time?
Well,
I didn't think about it.
creation is a process.
Exactly. You get it. She gets it too. She was just giving me crap because we're partners. She told me to do it too.
Oh, goodness.
And I was doing, husband brain and didn't think about it because I thought I knew best.
Oh, goodness. I feel simple advice. I've been there before so many times about such silly things. And it's just so alleviating of, your angry ego to finally just say, okay, I thought I knew best. And barreling forward, thinking I know best, has done nothing but aggravate and confound me. Time to listen to a little bit of simple truth from the lovey. everything's better.
Because the SO knows best, even though we think we do.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like,
they do.
I know what I'm doing.
And
It turns
they know.
out I don't.
Well, that's the thing. You thought you knew what you were doing, but they knew what you were doing as well.
Yeah. It's like, right, she knows art better than me. So,
Mm-hmm.
so one question I always ask in these interviews:
Mm-hmm.
your opinion on pineapple on pizza.
Pineapple on pizza, I quite like it.
We are
Quite
now
like it.
friends. Have
I
you
think
had
that we are
have
because
have you
and that
tried
can
chorizo and pineapple before?
chorizo and pineapple, yes. And actually, I think this is why we are more friends than you think we
Oh
are.
God.
Well, I approach
Person.
food. Yep, I approach food the same way that I approach gaming, in which you are bringing in certain resources that have certain characteristics, and then building something up. Uh,
You can't see my face right now, but I am like face squishing because
Mhm.
you do the same thing I do. It's like I'm not just making food. I'm bringing things to this dish.
Yeah, you're bringing together food memes, basically. A dish is the sum of the food memes that you put in. It might not be a named dish that has been vaunted for centuries and centuries, but its addition is the same. Frankly, a lot of French cooking came from this approach of bringing together food memes and having the audacity to change something about them.
Ah, you
Mhm.
can't see my hands. I'm doing the grabby
Oh
shaky
boy,
hands.
grabby. There
I'm
is
like,
a phrase.
ah,
Cooking,
you think the same way I do.
right? J'aime bien fouder. I do not care. And a lot of French cooking came from this. There were established norms, but instead of reiterating the identical norm, they pulled the food memes apart and then changed one to see what happens. I have a yep. I have a favorite French food story, which is
We gotta
how
hear it.
yep, it is the niçoise salad in and of itself, which is just a massive pile of food memes. It is a salad made up of lettuce, tomato, boiled potatoes, radishes, boiled egg, tuna, and anchovies, and olive in a vinaigrette.
Minus the anchovies, I am there.
Right?
I'm allergic to anchovies.
Mhm. Yeah, you take the anchovies off. It's not a perfect niçoise salad, but it still exists. And some people will get on your case for eschewing any of the elements, but French cuisine itself has an answer to that. French cuisine will take the niçoise salad, say, "Well, I'm going to put this on a sandwich," and that's fine. And from that was born the niçoise sandwich.
That
Things
is so cool.
Mhm. Things are flexible when you think more in food memes than in fully composed static dishes. And hey, D&D is the name.
I don't know if you've been to a ramen house. Ramen houses typically take whatever you want and put it in the ramen.
Yep.
Like I asked for beef ramen once, so they made me beef ramen with skirt steak. They pan seared it over a uh, Korean sear grill, which is
Well,
upside down bowl. Cut it up on the grill, slapped it on a cast iron skillet to finish it, and dropped it in some noodles with beef stock.
hell yeah.
They called that beef ramen.
Yeah, it's just a sum of food memes.
And they're like, "This is beef ramen," and I was like, "This is really good."
Mm-hmm.
And they were insulted because I didn't slurp it, but
Oh,
I'm Southern raised, so I,
Southerner. Mm-hmm.
we don't do that in the South of the USA. You cover your mouth when you eat soup. They got insulted. I covered my mouth. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm Southern. It's what we do. But it was the best food I ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back and asked for a job there. And they were like, "Why do you want a job?" "I want to learn how you make ramen."
Mm-hmm.
I was making 70 grand a year as an IT director, and I took a $10 an hour job making ramen just because I wanted to make it.
Oh, certainly. I definitely made career choices in that vein before in my life. I find that a lot of the time I am pursuing positions where I can receive mentorship so I can further hone my crafts.
We
Being in Hope's Discord is a lot like that, I should think. I I do so many things in the day, not all of them productive, but once I saw the ability to receive mentorship there, I knew that this was a place that deserved more of my time. And I just dove in and I've seen dividends.
that's how I felt with
Hmm.
Hope's Discord because I'm an SEO expert. There, I'm rewriting an entire PDF from IT to our community right now. It's taking
Hmm.
some time because I have to figure out the verbiage. Because in IT, you go to community events, you go to colleges. What in IT? Where are we going to do that in IT or TTRPGs? We're not going to go to a college, but it's a 8,000 word document that I'm
Right.
rewording to fit us. And I mentioned to Steph, like, I'll give this to you. I'm giving it to the community because I'm an SEO expert.
All
With
right.
my company, mine and Jim's company, Delta 3 Designs, that's one of the things we're going to offer to people.
Hmm.
And we're not going to charge them, what is it? I believe Google SEO is $360 a month right now. And I'm
Hmm.
like, I'm a better SEO expert than you, and I'm not
Oh
charging
my.
that much.
Yep. That
I
is
I I
value.
I hype people up for free right now, and I just want them to succeed. All I like if they want to pay me, sure, cool,
Oh yeah.
but I'm not gonna charge you $360 a month. Like Stephanie is an amazing 3D printer. You're an
Mm.
amazing designer.
All right.
Why should you pay $360 a month to have somebody tell you what you already know?
Right.
Do you need that validation? They're paying you for validation,
Hmm.
essentially.
Hmm.
But as you said, Hopes gives you that.
Yep.
You want SEO, you want to be marketed, pay a real marketing group,
Hmm.
not Google, who's going to be like, they're so cool. You should subscribe to their newsletter.
All right.
No, we did it once, and that's all they did for a multi-billion-dollar company. They's like, they're cool. You should subscribe to their newsletter.
Yep. That's pretty basic.
Where's the hype of what you do?
Where's the
Like,
essence?
exactly. We did IT, we did SEO, we did a bunch of stuff, and Google said, we're cool.
All right.
I know we're cool because I contracted you, Google. So Gemma and I decided we're going to do something different.
Yep.
We're going to not just do publishing. We're not just going to hype your stuff. Like Gemma's working on loads of adventures right now while doing stuff beyond my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a doctorate. I just have a master's in IT.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand half the shit she does.
Right.
Like, yeah, you have a doctorate. I have a master's in IT and a associates in engineering and an associates in human health.
Mm-hmm.
You're smarter than me. I'm confused when you talk about plant stuff sometimes. I've said that to her actually last night. I'm confused when you talk about plant stuff. I don't understand it. Make it dumb for me because I don't understand how this plant interacted with this plant to make this plant.
Mm-hmm.
I just understand plant.
Mm-hmm.
And she looked at me, oh, sweetie. Actually, her exact response, oh, sweetie, I'm sorry. I was like, yes, my three degrees. Well, technically four, because I have another uh, master's in engineering, which did me shit. I have master's in electrical engineering. Makes me a doctor doesn't mean shit compared to a PhD. Like, I have the degrees that say I'm smart, but none of them are in real stuff. They're in stuff that within 2 years went away. My master's in IT, master's in engineering, they figured out new stuff by the time I got my degrees.
Well, whatever the case is, going through the process builds up certain skill sets
Oh, I
that
had
translate.
skill sets. Like
Yeah.
our car. Funny story. When they replaced our tires have those funny sensors on them. To
Mm-hmm.
make the sensor turn off, they took out the fuses that tell the driver's side door to turn down the passenger side window.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 20 minutes to find the door latch last night so I could open the trunk because it's a 2018 car and it's weird. And I was like,
Technology can be crazy. I find that, this is something that can happen. You can go through your college life, gain a certain amount of knowledge, and as it begins to become less and less applicable to your daily life, that can feel bad. But you gotta be willing to say that you are simply not losing something, but progressing into a different area of expertise. And I similarly, having gone through college and not quite ended up in a job related to my major of chemistry, I can see the translation step by step. Yeah, I was actually involved in organic chemistry, which is the chemistry of carbon-based molecules, and it's quite interesting looking back at that fact now,
oh God, I
because
want to talk to you so much about so many things I've read.
but basically to the point is I don't really work in organic chemistry anymore, but I can see how certain parts of foundational knowledge translate to where I am now. Being in organic chemistry gave me a lot of overlap with biochemistry, and while I'm not a PhD like Gemma is, you absorb certain things that have a certain artistic essence to them. I
Uh,
began,
uh,
yeah.
as Gemma told me, the PhD doesn't matter; it's the knowledge that does.
It's the knowledge, and especially your ability to utilize knowledge that you aren't in novel ways, and how I utilize organic chemistry towards these concepts of necromancy that I create in my supplements. It makes me not regret the fact
So
that I'm no longer an
cool.
organic chemist
They
because
are so
organic,
cool.
yep, because organic chemistry is in a way the artist's chemistry. There's a lot of drawing figures in order to visualize chemical reactions, organic chemistry. And although I don't remember how to particularly do complex benzene transformations and things like that, I understand the artistic nature of chemical transformation. And that has persisted to this day as a content creator who dares to wonder what happens to all of those tiny little molecules when you fuel them with undead energy.
And that just you don't understand how it blows my mind that people can do that. I am I'm a mechanic by
Mm.
trade, by education. Military, I was EOD. I disarm bombs. When
Oh, you
people
did
are like, I want to do organic things, my brain goes, Mer?
that.
I don't understand this organic thing you're doing, but you're doing it so cool. I want to research more of it. I read
Mm.
it. I read the articles,
Mm-hmm.
and my brain doesn't get that. Like I read, they recently figured out how to clone or how to grow pancreases
Mm-hmm.
for diabetic patients. My sister is diabetic. I don't understand the science, but I think it's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. Now, if you would say to me, hey, Callan, I want to disarm this NX-32 bomb, me, I'm there. I
Yeah, you
got
know,
you.
the bomb. That's useful information. Don't knock yourself about it for that.
Like
Yeah.
I get you for when you disarm a bomb. You wanna you wanna clone a pancreas from nothing? What?
Who knows?
How
Well,
how how does this work? You're 3D printing a pancreas? My brain. I don't get this. I don't understand.
well,
You folks with the degrees you have, just like Gemma and you, who have these amazing degrees.
don't talk it up too much. It's just a
You're,
badge.
you're it's still an amazing degree.
Yeah, it is.
It's it's beyond the understanding of the guy who disarmed bombs for a living, who makes G&D content. That's what
I'm
I
telling
do.
you, guys. I'm
I
telling you, my guy. You don't have to talk yourself down so much about
no.
where your knowledge is. We are capable of approaching these ideas similarly. I'm telling you this. We are able to approach them similarly. And in a day-to-day bit, come on, buddy, let me give you this. On a day-to-day basis, I really am not able to put organic chemistry into practical use. It's been a little bit too long for me. Even some of the undergrad stuff momentarily fades from my mind, but I am able to utilize what I experienced in my college courses to create artistic representations. I can absolutely assure you that you are capable of using your artistic vision to create some concept of organic chemistry that would
Oh,
captivate people.
I don't think I'm talking about down. I'm saying my expertise is different than yours.
I know.
Yours is different than me. Like I told Gemma earlier today, like my expertise, like my design work is
Hmm.
based what I've had 4 jobs in the past 2 months that have been around creepy stuff I've done. Most
Oh.
people want that military experience, quote unquote. I'm like,
Hmm.
uh, I have to limit this from what I can tell you. Because a lot of the stuff I done is classified. But like when I hear people like you who are like, I did science work,
Hmm.
who are in the TTRPGs, it gets me so excited because we don't have much of that. Like
That's true.
you saw Gemma, you're into the sciences. I want more of that. I've been playing since
Oh,
'93.
oh, now I'm following what you're all about right now. It's, having my mind blown moment. And yeah, I'm glad I'm capable of bringing that to the space, even if it's just in my bachelor's amount.
Stupid thing we do. We need more of that because there are so many people who don't understand. There's so much science that really goes into this. Like Michael, he's a scientist
Hmm.
and he is focused on the science of body in TTRPGs. People aren't. When you're focused on science like you are,
Hmm.
you like I don't know if you can see it, but it just blows the mind. And I'm like,
Hmm.
yes, this is what we need more nowadays. This is what people really want. They, I won't say everybody, but
Of course.
this is what my friends and about 1,200 users in the Grognards who play 5e want. Because I hyped that up and I just hyped yours up today in there, and people are like, where was this 2 years ago?
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
I didn't know CC 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
sorry. When they were
Yeah.
running, Tomb of Annihilation, I was like, I didn't know CC 2 years ago. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh my, those Skullmancy spells in Tomb of Annihilation. There's a lot of dead bodies in Tomb of Annihilation that
They
can be used.
they're grog, so they're like these are a bunch of players, not even GMs asking me where was this 2 years ago. And I'm like, I didn't know him 2 years ago. I'm sorry. He was probably developing this 2 years ago.
You know what? That's actually quite possible. About 2 years ago is the game where the idea of Scalmancy emerged. It was a Blades in the Dark game of all places.
Ooh, I love Blades in
Mhm.
the Dark.
Right?
We've
And
been discussing that in GMs who play 5e.
Mhm.
And how would this work in a current campaign?
Right. So in Blades in the Dark, since all magic is mostly done through attunement, an attunement roll that makes who knows what happen, the magic was very, very free form. And that started to allow us to examine these more esoteric applications of necromancy in a world that understands anatomy and microbiology. Our setting was the 1920s. So, the chemical revolution of analytical chemistry had happened. There had been, the discovery of microbes, things like that, and they were starting to be applied to magic in some pretty terrible ways. Utilizing this free form approach to necromancy, they accomplished just awful, gruesome feats using what we hypothesized to not really be a lot of magical energy. When you think about the amount of energy of magic, however you would quantify that, that is required to animate, 10 zombies, and then consider how much it would take to animate the very, very thin, very, very fragile layer of dead skin on 10 people. You could be so much more destructive with scalmancy than you could with corpse-based necromancy because it's so terribly efficient. We did things like we
Yeah,
did some
I
crazy
love
stuff.
that.
Mhm. Yeah, we did some crazy assassinations utilizing scalmancy because they were assassins. Blades in the dark. There was a corrupt that they did so by infiltrating a charity bash that he was visiting, attuning their magic to a stake that he was dead stake in his stomach and made it retch itself out of his stomach. And down he went. Yep. There was another guy, he was a gang leader that they got in a scuff with. He was wounded. And so he went to his physiker, which is basically the equivalent of an underground doctor in Blades, to get patched up while they traded. And do you know what they did? All of the bacteria that was killed during the sterilization of his wound underneath his gauze, and he got a gruesome infection, absolutely gruesome infection, and that was the end of that gang leader. And so necromancy applied to all aspects of life, to microbes, to plants, to viscera, is very efficient and very destructive. Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Hmm. Well, indeed, indeed. If you really want to explore this kind of necromancy that I am talking about, you can find me at cc dot dot on Twitter. You'll see updates to the shit that I'm doing and just all the crazy banter that I drop into the internet ephemera at cc dot dot. You can also find my content at thedmpcisdead.com. That'll bring you to the DMPC is Dead, which is another similarly spooky piece of content where you explore the mystery of a dead DMPC friend and who you are for the adventure you had with them. Hell yeah. Oh, yes.